There's a gentleman who has a theory, and I love his theory. His name is William Glasser. And some of you might have heard this before because it's pretty famous, but this was the first time I heard it. I was watching YouTube videos on how to better yourself and, raise your vibration. I love those kind of videos. They have this one channel called The Cottage Fairy, and she talks about like slowing down and making tea and painting pictures. I love stuff like that. So, anyway, I was watching one such video, and this woman mentioned William Glasser. So I looked up the theory that he had, and I thought it was really cool. It's called choice theory. And I thought it was cool because a lot of you guys asked me about relationships with different people, romantic, your mom and your kids. So I thought this was very helpful for your personal relationships. So I want to read it to you and I want to talk about it because I think that a lot of us can benefit, including myself, because I'm going to print these out and put them in my journal. I thought this could help a lot of us to remember these steps. There are 7 caring habits and 7 deadly habits. So I'm going to do the introduction and then I'm going to explain to you what William Glasser says about choice theory. Hey guys, it's me, it's Queen Said Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to everybody who might like it too. And don't forget to drop us a positive comment in the comment section, okay? And stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to read 2 of my favorite comments from previous videos and I'm going to address them. I'm going to do a little response to them. And if you would like to get a reading done, please email me. If you'd like to hit me up on social media, feel free. All of my information is underneath this video. I don't do a lot of chatting on social media, but I am on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Okay? All right, guys. So let's get into Dr. William Glasser. So I'm going to tell you what this is about. Choice theory is all about the fact that William Glasser thinks that most people in the world, there are some exceptions, their psychology, their very way of thinking is destructive to their relationships. Okay? And he says here that a lot of people, because of this destruction of their relationships, disconnections happen. So divorces or disconnecting from your lover or from your mother or from your child, these kind of things happen, and it's all based on how we treat each other. Once we're disconnected, divorces happen, all kinds of emotional problems happen, all kinds of problems in our families, dysfunction, so forth and so on. So Dr. Glasser said that if we can look at our habits, our very habits, that we can change this. He says that most people have 7 deadly habits. So I'm going to read the 7 deadly habits. These are things you should never do to somebody you care about, okay? And most of us do these things or have been taught to do these things. And when our relationships disconnect, this is why. So the first one is criticizing. Dr. Glasser said, I think he's a doctor. I'm going to call him Mr. Glasser because I can't see if he's a doctor or not. So Glasser, let's go by his last name. Glasser says that criticizing your loved ones from a negative space is going to be a very deadly habit. Even constructive criticism sometimes can be taken the wrong way. So he tells us to stay away from criticism whenever possible. Number 2, blaming. The blame game. Oh my God, Becky. How many times have you had a fight with someone and when you saw them again, all they wanted to do was blame you for all of the reasons why the conversation fell apart? Now, 9 times out of 10, you both were the reason why the argument happened. It takes two to tango, but instead of coming back with apologies or coming back with trying to talk about it or work through it or maybe some conflict resolution, they came back blaming you. You lied to me. You went out with your friends. You didn't tell me what you were doing. You cheated. And they come at you with all this blame, 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 blame. And of course, according to the good doctor or the good gentleman, I don't want to make him a doctor if he's not. I'm scared now. I'm like, oh my God, I'm calling him a doctor. And he might not be. But according to Glasser, that blame game is detrimental, and it often makes the relationship disconnect, because when you're constantly blaming, I know for me, when somebody's constantly blaming me for something, especially when they're not taking accountability for their own stuff, I'm less likely to really keep on engaging with them. This is one of the big problems I always had with Voldemort. As soon as we saw each other and had a conversation, it always went back to, you did this, you did that, you said this, you hurt me, blah, blah, blah. But he never acknowledges any of the awful things he does to other people. So for me, especially as an Aquarius, it really makes me shut off, because it's like, if we're just going to sit here talking about what I did and we ain't going to cover what you did, this conversation is one-sided. So blame, just Glasser says, just cut it out. Don't come at them, blame, you did this, you did that. It's time to talk about conflict resolution at that point. So the blame game is really something that we're taught that's very unhealthy. Complaining. He said that it's a deadly habit. I know you guys are like me, and you know people or a person who they're always complaining. They're at work and they want to go home. They don't want to work. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. They're constantly complaining about their kids, complaining about their life, complaining about their husband, complaining. And it's constant. It's a very deadly habit. And some people do it constantly, like all the time. And it is something that he says makes us disconnected. Nagging. Nobody likes to be nagged. Nobody. Husbands don't like it. Wives don't like it. But we have been taught to nag someone until they do what we want. But it's not good for the connection. So the doctor says stay away from, or Glasser said stay away from nagging. Threatening. Threatening is the other one. Sometimes we will try to threaten our loved ones to do what we want. Parents do this a lot. It's like, you're going to do what I want you to do, or you're going to get busted in your head, or you're going to get spanked, or you're going to get punished, or you're going to get time out. Parents do it all the time. And a lot of people say that threatening actually is not a good thing for children or adults. Now, as far as children are concerned, that's a different video. But when it comes to adults, especially, like for instance, your significant other, and you're threatening to embarrass them, for example, this is emotional abuse. You're threatening to embarrass them. You're threatening to tell other people their business. You're threatening to walk away from them. You're threatening to abandon them. This is all emotional abuse. And what ends up happening is your partner ends up disconnected from you. Punishing. Again, with this whole threatening concept comes the punishment. You threaten the punishment. So now, okay, I told you not to do X. You did X. So now I'm gonna punish you. I'm not gonna come home after work, or I'm not gonna call you, or I'm not gonna, be intimate with you. I'm gonna give you the silent treatment. So now the person is punishing you because you didn't do whatever they wanted you to do, causing a further disconnect. And number 7, bribing, rewarding to control. He said, do not bribe a person. Like, okay, well, if you do what I want you to do, then I'll do this. Or I'll give you that. So I'll buy you that. The doctor says, or the Glasser says, I keep calling him a doctor. I must want him to be a doctor. But Glasser says that bribing is not good. Don't bribe the person like, I'll do this if you do that. Now we're going to see that they gave us, some other ones we can use instead. But these are the ones to stay away from. Okay. Now let's talk about the 7 caring habits. So replace the deadly habits with these caring habits. The first caring habit is to be supportive. Be supportive of your your loved ones, your partners, your mates, whoever, it adds to the connection. So if they tell you they want to go run a marathon, if they tell you they want to get a new promotion at work, if they tell you they want to dye their hair pink, whatever they want to do for themselves, as long as they're not hurting anyone else, support them. Even if you just say some encouraging words, which we're going to see number 2 is encouragement. So even if your support is just encouraging words, or something along those lines. Are you going to run a marathon? I'll come cheer you on. You going to get your hair done? Oh, that's cool. I'll take some pictures of you when you're done. Be supportive, even if it's not what you want them to do. And the second one is encouraging. So encouraging a person by just saying, I encourage you. That's a wonderful idea, or helping them in some kind of way. A friend of mine was saying that she really wants to relax. She really needs, she needs some, she doesn't know what she needs. She talked about meditation, yoga, different forms of relaxation. So she told her husband about it, and he bought her for her birthday, Christmas present. Christmas just passed. He bought her for Christmas a pass, a gift certificate to a spa where she can have the spa day and get massaged and that kind of thing. So he's encouraging. She keeps saying she needs self-care. She keeps saying she needs to rest. So he put his money, he encouraged with some dollars and got her actually something that can help her with that process. So there's many ways to encourage. So be more encouraging towards your loved ones, and this will help being more connected. Number 3, listening. Listening is such a beautiful habit. It's such a beautiful, caring habit. Do you realize that a lot of people who come to me for readings, one of the reasons why they come to me is because they need somebody to listen, but not just somebody who's going to listen, but somebody who's going to listen and not tell their business. Because as a priestess, when you come tell me whatever you come tell me, I can't tell other people. So a lot of people will come to me and they'll say, I just need somebody to listen. That's the first sentence out their mouth. I just need somebody to listen. And I'm like, you don't have friends? And they're like, I just don't want nobody to know right now. They might be embarrassed. A number of things happen, but they just need somebody to listen. Listening without judgment and listening without spreading somebody's business is one of the best gifts you can give someone. So many people come to me and to therapists and other people because they don't have anybody they can trust to listen. So listening is an extremely caring habit. And whatever somebody tells you, keep it to yourself. Okay? That's a very important one when being a good listener. Number 4, accepting. So somebody's telling you they want to do something, they want to dye their hair pink, or they're telling you, they're learning about their sexuality or something like that is going on. Something you might not even know anything about. Just be accepting. Accept that person as they are. Don't expect them to change. Don't try to coerce them to do a different thing. Accept them as they are. Let them find their own path. Regardless of if that's the path you want for them, let them find their own path. Accept people's decisions for their own life. If it's, again, not hurting them, not hurting anybody else, be accepting of others. And this is a hard one, especially when it's your child or when it's your mate. It's often difficult to just accept who and what they are because you might see more in them or want them to do something different. But you have to allow that person to live their own life. Not always easy. Number 5, trusting. A caring habit is to trust. Trust is not easy for Aquarius, and trust is not easy in this time period either. A lot of people come to me and tell me they don't trust nobody. I'm very sparing about who I trust, because a lot of times I've trusted someone and they've stabbed me in the back. So I'm very careful about who I give that trust to and how much trust I give a person. So he says that when we can find people to trust, people who are trustworthy, that being able to be more trusting is going to help you be more connected. But for this one, obviously, it means that you found people that you can trust. You found people that are trustworthy. Number 6, respect. Respect each other. Even if they want something, or they're doing something, or they're saying something, or they're interested in something that does not interest you at all, respect them. Let's say, for example, someone was saying to me that they're in a relationship right now. And the biggest part that's a problem, because everything else is going well, but the biggest problem is that one of them is very religious. She wants to be a minister, actually. And her partner is not religious. As a matter of fact, her partner is an atheist. Now, when they first got together, this was not a problem because they were respectful of each other's spiritual differences. But over time, the minister has started to be not disrespect. She started to be disrespectful of the atheist's feelings about spirituality. Now we have a problem because the minister wants the atheist to basically convert to her spiritual system, but that wasn't what we laid on the table. That's not what we said from day one. And now here you are popping up 4.5 years later and want this person to convert. You're not respecting their spiritual beliefs. In this case, they don't believe in it. So she wants him to change. She wants him to convert. She wants him to do that. And he's not interested. She went from respecting his difference to disrespecting it. And my thing is that if she would be happier with a husband who was in her spiritual system, then that's what she needs to do for herself. But up front, they had the respect going, and then as she got more into it, it dissipated. Number 7, negotiate differences. So before we talked about threatening, punishing, and bribing. Instead of threatening, punishing, and bribing, Glasser is recommending negotiating differences. So instead of saying, do this or I'm going to slap you, like I'm going to bust you upside your head, instead of saying that, just say, how about we negotiate? I want to go to the Poconos for our honeymoon. You want to go to Hawaii. How about we negotiate and go to, I don't know, Florida instead? You know, those kind of things. Sometimes you have to compromise in a relationship. So instead of threatening or coercing the person to do what you want, negotiate with them. Or you can say, okay, this year we go to Hawaii, but next year we go where I want to go. You know, it would be so much easier to make a deal with the person, you know, very diplomatic, very businesslike, but you can use this in these situations because you're dealing with somebody you care about. So you can just sit down and say, hey, I really don't want to do this, but I'm open to negotiating. What you got on the table? What you got to put on the table? So instead of threatening this person, punishing this person, bribing this person, you just said straight out, let's negotiate. I'll compromise here if you compromise there. And according to Glasser, this is going to help with your connection. So you see how these 7 caring habits take you into being connected, whereas the deadly habits take you from being disconnected. So as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because people always ask me how to maintain their relationships. What should they do about the problems that they're having? And this seemed like a really good list of just practical things you can do. Because remember, a relationship is not just the big moments on Facebook. It's not just the engagement parties or the vacations. A relationship is day to day, going to the supermarket, picking up things from the grocery store, paying bills, changing the oil, you know, sweeping the kitchen. These are the day-to-day things that happen. Those big things only happen at holidays and in between. But there's about 300 days out of the year that we talking mundane, mundane activities. Okay, so my thing is that we have to find ways to work on those mundane days. It's easy to pop up on Valentine's Day. It's easy to buy your wife a new ring for her birthday. You know, it's easy to do those things. It's easy to buy your dude a PlayStation for Christmas. That's easy. But what about day to day? Are you supporting this person? Are you encouraging this person? Are you listening to this person? Or are you blaming them? Are you, like he said here, complaining constantly, never being appreciative for the little things they do for you? So I thought, by looking at this list that I want to print out, that if I can try to be conscious more, because I already try to do these things, and I'm like, okay, you can do even more. Be even more conscious. Be even more supportive. Be even more encouraging. You know? And I thought it was just a really great list for anybody who's in any kind of relationship. And I think that if you start doing these things, you might not notice it at first, but I've noticed that whenever I've tried something therapeutic like that in a relationship, at first the other person noticed it and thought it was weird. Then we talked about it, and then over time it was like, okay, all right. And over time they can see a difference, and then they start piggybacking off what I'm doing, and we start doing it together. So for those of you out there that are in any kind of relationship that needs help, consider looking at these, because if you and the other person can go from these deadly habits to these caring habits, you can save an entire relationship. Okay? All right, let's look at some positive comments. We got one from Ice 5. Bro, Capricorns ain't it for us. The most abusive relationship I had been Caps, man. Each one tearing me down in a unique and different way. Self-love is a must. I had to love me more than I needed them to be a good person. Capricorn and Aquarius is a very difficult vibration. I was married to a Capricorn, so I agree with you 100%. And he was very abusive, and we did fight a lot. I cannot tell you how many times the cops came to the crib. We had a lot of fights, and we're good now. We have a really good relationship now, but when we were together, togetherness, romantic togetherness with a Capricorn is, I'm not going to say it can't work, because I do believe any relationship can work that you choose to work on together. Two people that are not compatible can work if they choose to work on it day after day after day. It may be hard, and it might not be something me or you would want, but they could get it to where they want it if they really both loved each other and don't give up on each other. Mallory. Hey, Mallory. Mallory said, I'm talking to a Cancer. Uh-oh. He's extremely emotional, but I don't mind listening to him sometimes. I didn't mind the emotion of Cancers until we were fighting. That's when I don't like the emotion. When they're sad or when they're working through something, everything is fine. But when it's a negative emotion or frustration or anger or argument, that's when I had a problem with Cancers. The weepiness or the emotionalness, the nostalgia, that really didn't bother me that much. He likes to drink. Uh-oh. And he will talk himself into crying. Yeah. I do that too. I've done that before. I have in the past. I don't do it anymore, but it was times when I was less in control of my emotional state when I was younger. And if I started to drink too much, I would cry. I used to try and soothe him, but as an Aquarius, we're problem solvers, definitely. And I saw the problem is the alcohol. Aha, okay. Because he won't even remember doing it. Oh, that's bad. So now I avoid him when he drinks. I hate draining my energy for no reason. See, whenever I drink, even when I was younger, I never didn't remember what happened. So you drinking too much. If you don't remember what happened, you don't remember conversations you had, you drinking too much. And I'm wondering, is he not remembering, or is he embarrassed by the emotions and the things that he said and pretending to not remember? Because cancers will do that too. Some cancer men, some men who are emotional, period, of any sun sign, some of them don't like it because we don't give men the ability to just have their feelings. So some of them are very self-conscious about it. So if they cry or get upset or something like that, they would, in this scenario, pretend they don't remember. So I wonder, does he not remember, or is he pretending that he doesn't remember? That's a question. But either way, if the alcohol is the problem, I would avoid him too when he drinks. And to what extent? Like, is the alcohol making him cry? Or like, is there like a reaction to it? Like, what is it with the alcohol? Is he an alcoholic? Like, what is it with the alcohol? Because I remember somebody was telling me they were allergic to the alcohol they were drinking, and they were having like hives and bad reactions to it, and one of the things that happened was crying fits. So it makes me wonder to what extent the alcohol is a problem. It could be more than one thing. All right, guys, that was the last one. Time for us to get going. So please come back soon because I got a lot more to say. See you later.